when you start writing, do you find the most important part is starting with a character rather than a plot?
Yeah, usually. I often, you know, they say you only have one story to tell and you tell it over and over. I don't know if that's true. I like all different, I mean, I once wrote a story about, a script about a fairy, a garden fairy, completely, you know, fantastical. And she wanted to experience human physicality, and she ends up getting pregnant and then unable to come back to wherever she's from. And she's also interested in saving the environment and all that. Yeah. She falls in love with this guy anyway, you know, kind of. But I've also written about two people who, you know, fall in love in rehab type of thing. I mean, so I kind of like lots of different stories. But I suppose that's the first thing, though, is getting a character that wants something badly and is having difficulty getting it, which is something I teach. And I mean, that's one of the key phrases in one of the books at in the writing division, too. It's a very simple way to look at a story.
Like what a character wants.
Yeah, you have to have an interesting character, and the character has to want something. And it has, and we also talk about they have to want it badly. If you take badly out of the equation, you don't have enough at stake. They can want something, but it doesn't really matter whether they get it, you know?
One thing that, like, I remember, like, some of my old film professors were telling me, like, when you're writing a script is, like, you have to make your audience care about this character. How do you go about that? Because I just feel like that's such a vague sentence.
It is vague. It is vague.
And I'm like, I don't know, I care about them.
Yeah.
But it's, it is hard.
I used to do that in story meetings. They'd say, well, why? Or they'd say, why now? Why this character? Why do a character?
Yeah, why now?
And I go, well, because, you know, I just never knew what they meant. Because as the writer, you already feel so invested and you understand, because that's, trying to make that leap, that connection, is challenging. What would I say to that?
Like, how would you answer the why now question?
The
like,
why now?
Yeah.
Usually you have to find, there is a point, you're entering the story at a certain point, like fade in, blah. And of course, I always say to my students, you don't really have to fade in, the alarm goes off, they get out of bed, they eat breakfast, you know. Nowadays, you can just start with them saying, I'm leaving, or, you know, I'm about to jump off this bridge, or whatever. You know, you can start with a moment where the audience really gets to know the character pretty quickly. Hopefully in a, you know, sympathetic way.
Yeah.
But there are characters that aren't too sympathetic, and they learn along the way what they have to learn. You know, I don't know what makes you care. What makes us care? I mean, there are some obvious things, like if somebody's like, you know, poor, struggling, has some kind of, you know.
But then there's like some characters that are so bad that you love them.
That's right. That like Amy Schumer in Trainwreck.
Well, that wasn't a comedy. That was a really sad movie.
That was actually.
I was like, when is this going to be funny? It was like the whole dad thing, and
yeah, the whole dad thing.
It was so sad.
That's true.
It was a really sad movie.
Yeah, the whole beginning of it, where the two little girls are. Yeah.
I said, Daddy, don't you worry about me. Said, sorry, son, I just want to see you